Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what I think is probably one of the most legendary pedal of our times, and certainly one of the most overhyped pedals of our time. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Of course, I'm talking about the Browne Amplification Protein right here. So I have the V3 in the copper finish, and that is quite the exquisite finish. If you can see that, I really like the color of that. If nothing else, it has an amazing color scheme. Let's talk a little bit about this, because this is kind of an odd purchase for me. So if you don't know, the Protein is actually two overdrives in one, and you can run them individually, as in one side by itself, the other side by itself, or you can stack them together. So there is what's called the blue side over here, and then the green side over here. And to my understanding, the blue side is based on a blues breaker type of pedal. So I have probably one of the more famous blues breaker pedals on the market, and that is the JHS Morning Glory. It's based off the blues breaker circuit, and of course they, add their own flavors to it. So Browne Amplification has done the same thing with their Protein, taken that blues breaker circuit and added their own flavor over here. Now on the green side, it's what's known as the Nashville Overdrive. So it's that green overdrive, not the Tube Screamer. It's actually the Noble's ODR1. And I have actually the Noble's ODR1 here. It's not in the green case. This is actually the gold, is it the anniversary limited edition version? I can't remember. But it's gold, it looks sweet, and so that's the version I have, although sonically it is the same as the green, at least to my understanding, and there's some debate on that. But nonetheless, just your normal ODR1 in a gold finish. So that is what the Protein is based on. Blues breaker on one side, and then the Noble's ODR1 on the other side. But one of the reasons I say it's kind of an odd purchase for me is, while I love those pedals, I don't really use them too often, if at all, nowadays. Certainly when my pedal collection was less, I used them more. I remember the Morning Glory was probably one of the first overdrives I bought, and so it was the only overdrive I had, and that was what I used constantly. But as I've grown and gotten different flavors of overdrive pedals, I've kind of leaned towards other things. The Noble's ODR1, similarly, I used it for a little bit, but then I started just leaning towards other flavors, and more I started using it less and less. So it's really weird for me to have this, because it's those same circuits in one pedal. So if I wasn't using them then, why would I use them now? Well, that's a good question, and one I hope to find out. So let's go ahead and put this on the board and run through some sounds. Okay, I got the Protein plugged in on the board, and real quick for signal chain today, I'm gonna be using my Gretsch Sparkle Jet going into my board, and then I'll have my compression pedal on because that's the way I always play. And then I'll be using some light, maybe medium reverb, depends, from the Big Sky, going into two Tone X1s, which are running a Morgan AC20, I think it's what it's called, on one side, and then a 2-Rock Classic Reverb on the other side. So coming out of there, going straight into Ableton behind me. So let's listen to my bass tone just for reference. So honestly, I haven't had much time to dive into all the Protein settings and what it's capable of. So let's start turning some knobs and just see what it can do. So I'm going to start with just the blue side so we can get a feeling for that. And I'm going to keep everything about noon, and then let's hear what that sounds like. So let's see, let's bring down the gain, maybe 3 o'clock. Oh, there for reference. Okay, so not too much of a difference at 3 o'clock. Let's crank it up a bit. About a bit. Let's go to 9 o'clock. There's clean again. Yeah, so I'm noticing, I guess it could be pretty clean, boosty type of thing if you want it to, if you set the gain really low. It is doing something really nice to the pick attack and just the clarity. When I turn it on, I feel more so than here, just the attack of my notes and the clarity with that. So I like what it's doing there, but honestly, I'm not feeling a lot of drive or gain when it was at that 3 o'clock position. Certainly, you heard at noon, there is some break up there, and absolutely once I get to, what is that? Did I say 3? I meant 9 o'clock. This whole time I've been saying 3, but I meant 9 o'clock. When I take it to 3 o'clock, there's a lot of gain there. All right, so let's crank it. So here's clean once again. Oh yeah, so I do like that. So absolutely, as you can hear, if you crank it, you get quite a bit of gain. And honestly, like in the worship context, if you've been watching my videos, you know I play primarily worship context. I almost want to say like that's all the gain you might need. Like let me turn on some delay and reverb, do some big chords. So here's clean. Then blue side maxed. I mean, really, unless you're soloing, you might not need a whole lot of that. I didn't really sweep through the tone knob, but let's just go through that real quick. So here's it off. And everything's still at noon. Let's make it darker. Let's make it brighter. Oh, tone all the way. Yeah, for me, that's way too much brightness. But there you go, kind of get a sense of how dark and bright it can go. So now let's move on to the green side. That is the ODR1 side of the pedal. And same thing, we'll just start at noon and go from there. So here it is, clean. Okay, so right away, I'm noticing there is a lot more breakup, a little more saturation at the noon setting than the blue side. Although, hopefully you can hear, it's not as loud. It doesn't sound as loud to me. I think in the manual, they do talk about the relationship between the gain and the volume, that you kind of got to play with them to get the same sort of output. But definitely, I'm feeling some more saturation, a little more compression, but it's darker. So I am noticing that, and I typically like a little bit of a brighter sound. So where the blue at noon sounded good to me, but here on the green, I'm probably gonna bring that up because it just sounds too dark to me. So let's increase the volume. And then let's play with the gain knob. Oh, so this is surprising. I think I had another overdrive pedal where when I turned it all the way down, there was no volume. But even at the lowest setting, you can still play. So let's go 9 o'clock. So still useful. I find that useful there at the 3. We kind of did the noon, so let's crank it up now. Yeah, that sounds really killer to me. But of course, we can't play the Nashville Overdrive without some country. Okay, so for the grand finale, let's just hear what they sound like stacked. So here is clean. And now all together. I'm going to add some delay and overdrive, or delay and reverb, excuse me. So hopefully you can hear that. I think and this is coming from someone who does not like stacking drives, I think when they stack, it actually sounds really good. So as I said, the green side by itself sounds a little too dark to me, but when I add the blue side, it's like that clarity that I was talking about from the blue side comes back. So I get the saturation and the compression from the green side that I want as I'm moving up in overdrive stages, but I get that clarity that I feel I didn't have by itself when I stack it with the blue side. So this is interesting. So I still need to spend some time with it. I want to test it with different guitars and through just different setups and different songs and see if it can achieve what my other overdrive pedals have previously achieved. So far, some thoughts. I really like it. I think it looks really cool, but of course the sound comes first. And so far, I gotta say, I like the blue side a lot. The green side, I'm not completely sold on by itself, but once you stack it, I am sold on it. That to me is when it really comes alive. So I don't know. The great part is that with the dip switches on the inside and with my looper, I can have the two sides running independently and then just control it whether I want the blue or green or stack them together. So essentially I got 3 overdrives to play with, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.